Saint Augustine, the Harmony of the Gospels, Book 2, Chapter 13, on the Baptism of Jesus. Matthew then continues his narrative in the following terms. Then comes Jesus from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized of him. But John forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized by you, and you come to me? And Jesus answering said to him, Suffer it to be so now, for thus it becomes us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he suffered him. The others also attest the fact that Jesus came to John. The three also mention that he was baptized, but they omit all mention of one circumstance recorded by Matthew, namely, that John addressed the Lord, or that the Lord made answer to John. Chapter 14. Of the words or the voice that came from heaven upon him when he had been baptized. Thereafter, Matthew proceeds thus. And Jesus, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water. And lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove, and lighting upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. This incident is also recorded in a similar manner by two of the others, namely Mark and Luke. But at the same time, while preserving the sense intact, they use different modes of expression in reproducing the terms of the voice which came from heaven. For although Matthew tells us that the words were, This is my beloved Son, while the other two put them in this form, You are my beloved Son, these different methods of speech serve to convey the same sense, according to the principle which has been discussed above. For the heavenly voice gave utterance only to one of these sentences, but by the form of words thus adopted, namely, This is my beloved Son, it was the evangelist's intention to show that the saying was meant to intimate specially to the hearers there, and not to Jesus, the fact that he was the Son of God. With this view, he chose to give the sentence, You are my beloved Son, this turn, This is my beloved Son, as if it were addressed directly to the people. For it was not meant to intimate to Christ a fact which he knew already, but the object was to let the people who were present hear it, for whose sakes indeed the voice itself was given. But furthermore now, with regard to the circumstances that the first of them puts the saying thus, In whom I am well pleased, the second thus, In you I am well pleased, and the third thus, In you it has pleased me. If you ask which of these different modes represents that was actually expressed by the voice, you may fix on whichever you will, provided only that you understand that those of the writers who have not reproduced the self-same form of speech have still reproduced the identical sense intended to be conveyed. And these variations in the modes of expression are also useful in this way, that they make it possible for us to reach a more adequate conception of the saying than might have been the case with only one form, and that they also secure it against being interpreted in a sense not consonant with the real state of the case. For as to the sentence, In whom I am well pleased, if anyone thinks of taking it as if meant that God is pleased with himself in the Son, he's taught a lesson of prudence by the other turn, which is given to the saying, "In you I am well pleased." And on the other hand, if looking at this last by itself, anyone supposes the meaning to be that in the Son the Father had favor with man, he learns something from the third form of the utterance, "In you it has pleased me." For this it becomes sufficiently apparent that whichever of the evangelists may have preserved for us the words as they were literally uttered by the heavenly voice, the others have varied the terms only with the object of setting forth the same sense more familiarly, so that what is thus given by all of them might be understood as if the expression were, "In you I have set my good pleasure." That is to say, by you to do what is my pleasure. But once more, with respect to that rendering which is contained in some codices of the Gospel according to Luke, and which bears that the words heard in the heavenly voice were those that are written in the Psalm, "You are my Son, this day have I begotten you," although it is said not to be found in the more ancient Greek codices, yet if it can be established by any copies worthy of credit, what results but that we suppose both voices to have been heard from heaven in one or other verbal order? Chapter 15. An explanation of the circumstance that according to the evangelist John the Baptist says, "I knew him not," while according to the others it is found that he did already know him. Again, the account of the dove given in the Gospel according to John does not mention the time at which the incident happened, but contains a statement of the words of John the Baptist as reporting what he saw. In this section, the question rises as to how it is said, "And I knew him not, but he that sent me to baptize with water, the same said to me, Upon whom you shall see the Spirit descending and remaining on him, the same is he which baptizes with the Holy Spirit." For if he came to know him only at the time when he saw the dove descending upon him, the inquiry is raised as to how he could have said to him as he came to be baptized, "I ought rather to be baptized by you." For the Baptist addressed him thus before the dove descended. From this, however, it is evident that, although he did know him in a certain sense before this time, for he even leaped in his mother's womb when Mary visited Elizabeth, there was yet something which was not known to him up to this time, and which he learnt by the descending of the dove, namely, the fact that he baptized in the Holy Spirit by a certain divine power proper to himself, so that no man who received this baptism from God, even although he baptized some, should be able to say that which he imparted was his own, or that the Holy Spirit was given by him. Chapter 16 of the Temptation of Jesus. Matthew proceeds with his narrative in these terms. "Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If you be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God." And so the account continues until we come to the words, "Then the devil left him. And behold, angels came and ministered unto him." This whole narrative is given also in a similar manner by Luke, although not in the same order. And this makes it uncertain which of the two latter temptations took place first, whether it was that the kingdoms of the world were shown him first, and then that he himself was taken up to the pinnacle of the temple thereafter, or whether it was that this latter act occurred first, and that the other sin followed it. It is, however, a matter of no real consequence, provided it be clear that all these incidents did take place. And as Luke sets forth the same events and ideas in different words, attention need not ever be called to the fact that no loss results thereby to truth. Mark again does indeed attest the fact that he was tempted of the devil in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, but he gives no statement of what was said to him or of the replies he made. At the same time, he does not fail to notice the circumstance which is omitted by Luke, namely that the angels ministered unto him. John, however, has left out this whole passage.